MRA and sign up for that email list, and you'll be aware of any of those steps in the process being completed and when we schedule that public hearing. Also want to talk about a few issues related to outreach and education and collaboration in which the agency is engaged. We did publish the request for proposal related to the Veteran Marijuana Research Grant Program, which is required by the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act. That RFP is now open. The period in which potential applicants for the grant funding could submit questions has passed, so we are close to the process of actually receiving the applications. The way in which we've approached that is to provide the funding to nonprofits or academic institutions that then can provide the funding directly to the researchers. Those types of entities are in a much better position than the agency would be to evaluate the actual research proposals. And because the statute requires that the researchers be partnered with either a nonprofit or an academic institution, we thought it most prudent to provide the grant funding to those types of entities who then can actually work with the researchers to provide the funding. And then reporting will be required to the agency, and we'll have a website stood up. It'll be the same website that right now publishes some of the information about the actual grant proposals. And we'll have some updates as the research is ongoing. So anyone who's interested can stay in tune with the impacts that money is having in terms of the research toward utilizing marijuana to prevent veteran suicide. So very excited to get that process up and running. And we expect to have the agreements to allocate the first $20 million in funding, which is now available this fiscal year still, so by the end of September. Also want to talk a little bit about a work group we put together related to energy usage that is feeding into a larger work group on sustainability. We are coming close to having some materials that we will be distributing related to energy usage, particularly focused on energy usage of home grows and ensuring that that's done in the safest possible manner, addressing some concerns that we've heard from energy providers and local units of government and fire safety officials. So we should have some publication ready, I believe, next week related to that topic, and appreciate the partner agencies in EGLE and the Bureau of Fire Services, the Michigan Public Service Commission, and energy providers in working through that process. And then the Diversity, Education, and Inclusion Work Group has been meeting. We've been working on providing some reports on the status of implementing some of the recommendations that were provided by the predecessor Racial Equity Advisory Work Group. We do intend to publish an update to that report that was published earlier in January on where we stand with some of those recommendations, and some that may not be pursued any further, where we might have made some tweaks to the concept in order to implement it, and those that have been completed. So look forward to that coming sometime, probably near the end of July, with an update on those recommendations and their implementation. And also wanted to note, looking at the federal landscape, which I know is probably of interest to many folks, there have been a lot of news regarding the potential for federal action related to cannabis. I am a member, and the state is a member of the Cannabis Regulators Association, and that group is meeting with federal lawmakers in the coming week to talk about the state regulators' approach to regulating cannabis across the country, and to ensure that that perspective is considered as federal lawmakers consider various approaches to cannabis reform at the federal level. So excited to have an opportunity to advocate for the Michigan perspective when it comes to potential changes in federal policy. A little bit about what's happening at the agency level in the various areas. First and foremost, I want to talk about the patient registry. We've still been receiving quite a few applications in that space. We currently have 252,414 registered patients in Michigan. That's as of June 1st. These reports also are always available on our website, statistical reports. If anyone's interested in tracking that, go to michigan.gov/MRA and click on reports and statistical reports. We publish those about mid-month every month. That patient count to 252,000 is actually up about 11,000 from just over a year ago. And we currently also have 30,800 active caregivers in the state. And pleased to report that about 60% of the eligible patient applications through our online platform are submitted that way. That online application process allows for quick and efficient processing also allows the physician to provide the certification online. And in many cases, then the patient can be issued a temporary registration card by email that same day. So very pleased with the staff and the MMP having that platform available and how quickly they're processing those applications. Moving on to commercial licensing and the licensing division update. As of this fiscal year, the licensing division has received 1,240 applications and has processed 1,158 of those applications. That's on the medical side. For adult use licensing, received 1,728 applications and processed exactly 1,100 of those through June 1st. The social equity program is still plugging along. We do have 40 licenses that have been issued to social equity participants. Those are individuals, those are businesses, I should say, that either qualified at the time of application or subsequently after application. So we have 40 active licenses, and our social equity team has completed 67 outreach sessions this fiscal year and 336 adult use application assistance sessions, while also coordinating 9 business workshops, which were available more broadly to those applicants to help them with issues and concerns and assist with some of those things that are outside the scope of the regulatory agency, but are beneficial to providing information to those applicants. On April 20th of this year, the financial compliance section held a work group with licensees to obtain feedback regarding the annual financial statements and the process of reviewing those. The feedback from the work group is being reviewed to determine if the MRA should make changes to the current process. And then on May 19th, the section also held a work group with certified public accountants to obtain their feedback regarding that process as well. And all of that feedback is being considered as we evaluate that process. On June 2nd of this year, the licensing section and the social equity program held a joint work group to obtain feedback on the licensing process and the social equity program. That feedback is being reviewed so we can determine if changes should be made to any processes within the licensing section of the social equity program. Also want to note that since the requirement to hold a medical license as a prerequisite for applying for certain licenses was removed on March 1st, the licensing section has seen a significant increase in the number of adult use applications received, which is somewhat anticipated. But for those of you who may be submitting applications, please note that that may impact the timing of your application review. So please, as you're making your business plans, consider the volume of applications being received by the agency and the potential timeline to review your application. There is information in those monthly reports we put out as well that indicate the average processing time for applications. So that may be a good resource if you're considering submitting an application and making plans as to the timing of implementing your business. That's everything from the licensing side. A little bit of information from our enforcement division. The enforcement division has hired some new staff, 2 regulation agents, a new laboratory scientist specialist, and our operations support section is in the process of filling a vacant analyst position, trying to keep us up to full capacity so we can be efficient and faithful in discharging our duties. One safety compliance facility has now been approved by the MRA to conduct compliance testing of beverages, and one has been partially approved to run those compliance tests. And we know that several other labs are working on validations for MRA approval to conduct the compliance testing of beverages. We do have 2 processors who have been approved to move forward in the development of their marijuana beverages and several others who have been expressing an interest. Our field operations section will present a public information session on common compliance issues they have seen over the past year. It's scheduled to take place on June 29th at 2 p.m. A reminder will be sent to all MRA stakeholders with an invite on June 28th. So stay tuned and block out that time. We've been publishing some information related to those common compliance issues as well. So we're trying to be helpful and always continue our focus on education so that we can ensure compliance as best possible. So please take advantage of that opportunity. The enforcement division also submitted or published a survey. It was disseminated to the industry to assist the Michigan Metric User Work Group in prioritizing requests for enhancements to the statewide monitoring system. The scientific and legal section has been working on updates to the next version of the technical guidance for marijuana products bulletin, also known as the scientific guide. This updated bulletin will be posted to the website on July 1st of this year. Our field operations section staff have returned to the field and been conducting on-site visits and inspections. They've also adopted a hybrid inspection plan that includes virtual inspections and on-site inspections. This should allow the agency to continue through this hybrid model to be efficient and continue our timely and routine inspections without having to have significant increases in the short term in staffing. The field operations section has also restructured the assignment of inspections and created a plan to assign regulation officers to specific areas. This will allow licensees to become familiar with the specific reg officers who are assigned to their area and build better working relationships. And our MRA field operations section has also begun working with the MDAR, Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, food safety regulators when conducting inspectors at processor locations. This new partnership will allow for safer manufacturing and ensure licensees are aware of industry standards related specifically to edible product manufacturing. That's everything from our enforcement division. We now will go to the public comment section of the meeting. We're opening the public comment section, and as a reminder, during the public comment portion of the meeting, please understand that public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to provide feedback, not obtain feedback, engage in dialogue, or receive answers from the agency. We'll not be answering any specific questions during the meeting today, but if you have a specific question that you would like to have answered, you may email that to mra-legal@michigan.gov, and our staff in the legal section will route your question to the appropriate area of the agency and ensure you receive a response. And again, for clarity and efficiency, we'll be using the raise hand feature to conduct the public comment portion. If you would like to speak, please click on the icon labeled participants at the bottom center of your screen. On the bottom right-hand side, then click on the button labeled raise hand. You will then be unmuted and your video will be enabled. And at that point, you can address us during public comments. So again, if anyone has any comments you'd like to make, please use that raise hand feature and I will call on you so we can turn on your mic and your video. So first we have Caleb Carey. Turn on Caleb's video and unmute him. So you're unmuted. All right, Caleb, you're free to go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. Hello, my name is Caleb Carey. I am a 50% owner of Consano, a medical marijuana provisioning center located at 309 West Michigan Street, Mount Pleasant, Michigan, 48858. The other owner is my mother, Deb Carey. We obtained our retail med license on April of 2019 in a property lottery. We were lucky enough to win one of the 3 spots. We were one property of roughly 60 applicants. We were the first to open in our city on July 8th, 2019. We have operated for almost 2 years in full compliance. On August of 2020, the City of Mount Pleasant Selection Committee selected 3 properties out of 9 applicants for retail recreational licenses. We placed 7th and are 4th on the waiting list. Of the 3 licenses with a med license before the selection, only 1 was granted a recreational license, and it was the only one that never opened as a medical retailer until it was granted a recreational license. Almost a year after the selection, as of now, only 1 retail is open. Loom Cannabis got 2 spots on empty lots. One of them is just getting construction and the other one is on an empty lot that will tie up another applicant for almost a year to get conditional authorization. I'm a social equity applicant. I've want to operate in the city that is allowing for this social equity, but the city is denying us. And I hope that the MRA is aware that there are med licenses that are being unfairly excluded. We need the ability to continue to operate and compete in an ever-changing marijuana market. And I hope the MRA could recommend legislation to allow med licenses, conditional authorization in any city or municipality that has adopted a recreational ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Next up, we have Richard Clement. I see his video is already on. If we could unmute him, please.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, the questions I had was 2. I know we've been working on Public Act 306 with the picture on the medical marijuana card. Had an idea here that would you consider allowing people to upload their picture to the medical marijuana, to Lara, so they could print it on the card and been contacting Treasury, and I know my rep and everybody else would know over here, the number of licenses by county, rec licenses by county. We did get a report from Treasury showing the breakdown of total number of licenses by county. So I wanted to get that updated. And other than that, yeah, you're invited to the rep to the Michigan Legislative Cannabis Caucus this Friday at 4:20. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Richard. Perfect time for the Cannabis Caucus meeting. Well done.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have any other individuals wishing to speak during public comments? If you do, just go ahead and use that raise hand feature. We'll call on you. It's like next we have Representative Cynthia Johnson. Representative, please go ahead.
Good morning. It's Cynthia A. Johnson. Good morning, everybody. And just a correction, and good morning, Richard. Correction, that meeting is the fourth Friday of every month, the Michigan Legislative Cannabis Caucus. So it's the fourth Friday of every month. The time is at 4:20. It will either be Zoom or in person. The next meeting will be Zoom. However, next week, I'm not sure if it's going to be Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to have a press conference. And our first goal in regards to this cannabis caucus, our first goal is to try to get folks who are in prison on marijuana offenses to get them released and their records cleaned. That's all I have to say. Good morning again. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Next up, we have Dunn Wright.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I just have a pretty question, maybe in two parts. The social, I'm in Detroit, Michigan. The social equity program that Detroit is offering under the Legacy Group. Do you all, is this part of the state as well, or is that just local? For one thing. The second part of the question is that they offer what they call a micro business license. And I'm concerned if the state offers that same type of license as well, the micro business license. And that's just my question.
Great, Dunn. As I said, we won't answer questions during the public comment portion, but if you put your contact information in the chat, we'll make sure someone from the social equity program reaches out to you and they can help with any of those questions. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sean Mansour.
Thank you, Mr. Brisbane, and thank you, everyone. My comment relates to the med and rec applications. Now that we're starting to see more of an influx of recreational applications, and I think you mentioned earlier roughly about the same as the medical applications, I just want to know if the administration would consider one master application that we could fill out, that we could mark either med or rec for the applicants rather than doing two applications. It seems to be that most people now are applying for both med and rec at the same time. And it's a lot of what they're signing seems duplicative. So I was just wondering if the administration would consider one master application that applicants could use for med and rec. That's all.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. Next up, we have Casey. Casey, I'm not even going to try. It's your last name. You can go ahead.
Hey, good morning. I'm not sure if you can see me or not, but it's Cornoli. It's a good West Michigan Dutch name there. So no harm, no foul. But good morning, Mr. Brisboe. Thank you for taking my comment, and thank you for the presentation this morning. I found it very informative. My name is Casey Cornoli. I am one of the 40 social equity applicants that's operating in the state of Michigan. And I believe the only social equity applicant operating in the city of Grand Rapids. I'm the founder and owner of a provisioning center called Farmhouse Wellness. My comment is in regards to, I believe you had addressed the potential changes to the administrative rules. So I wasn't real clear on the timing of that, but if you all have any resources potentially for provisioning center operators to acquire more clarity on any changes to the admin rules, that would certainly be super helpful for me as it relates particularly to the future of curbside. I'm very curious as the state regulations roll off, what the future of curbside will be. So our facility is very small and we've been heavily reliant on curbside. And I mean, I don't want to speak for the city of Grand Rapids, but they've been very accommodating to us. And I certainly hope that the state of Michigan will consider accommodations as well to transition out of that mode of business for a couple reasons. It's extremely important for us to keep our staff and our patrons safe. You know, there's still some cases of COVID out there. Obviously, the cases have dwindled, but that's as a business owner and somebody who's operating within a relatively small space. That's at the top of my list of concerns, is keeping our patrons and the staff here safe and healthy. You know, I want them to be good. So that's my ask. I don't know if that's something that is going to be addressed in the admin rules or what that is, the future of it. But if you have any resources, that would be super helpful. And yes, I just wanted to also put a plug in for the social equity program. If there's any resources for me to connect, I'd love I'll drop my name in the chat function there. But again, I think that's a wonderful program. It's positively impacted our operations. We're using the financial incentives that come back, you know, the breaks that come from the MRA licensing to reinvest in this neighborhood. So I just want to share that with you, that's a real tangible benefit, both to the state of Michigan and to the city of Grand Rapids. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. You know, you should be proud of that. And it's something that we're starting to see real, you know, physical change here, just right here on this block within the last 12 months that we've been operating. So that's just a little plug for the social equity application and program. But thank you so much for taking my comment today. And again, if you have any resources on the admin rules and timeline and clarity there, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. And I want to reiterate for anyone who missed it earlier that I would encourage you to sign up for our email listserv, and then you will get notice when the public comment period for the draft administrative rules will be open. You can either submit feedback in writing during that period or at the public hearing itself. And then for any other questions, if you have specific questions of the agency, you can always email those to mra-legal@michigan.gov. Next, we have Cornell Fairley. Just a second, Cornell. We have to unmute you. There you go. Now we should be able to hear you.
I'm Cornell Fairley. I just wanted to comment on the MRA website about on the growers side. There's not enough information on growers. As a social equity applicant, trying to reach out to other growers to touch more base and get more information about how to go and how to apply for it. I just think that should be updated.
Thank you, Cornell. Appreciate your input. I don't see any other hands raised. Does anyone else wish to make any public comments and use that raise hand feature? We'll give it another minute or so if anyone would like to make any additional public comments. Seeing none, would just like to let everyone know that the next MRA quarterly public meeting is scheduled for September 29th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. Please check our website for updated postings regarding that. We likely will be moving back to in-person meetings soon. I can't say for sure whether that will be at the September meeting or not, but we do intend to at least attempt to continue to provide the option to participate by Zoom as well, even with the in-person public meetings, in order to increase participation and give everyone access regardless of where you are in the state. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.